We'll now call a common council meeting of November 19th, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Here.
Lorik.
Here.
Ritz.
Here.
Marshall. Here. Gale.
Here.
Guzekowski.
Everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Marcia, you want to start us off, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That will get us to, we have two approvals of minutes. Let's do 10/15/24 first, so October 15th. No discussions, questions, motion?
Ritz will move to approve the minutes 10/15/24.
Marshall second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Aye. Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Abstains.
And then the approval of minutes of November 11th, November 7th. Please take a look. And when you're satisfied there's no errors, omissions, corrections, or discussion, motion please.
I'll move to approve minutes of 11/7/2024.
Guzekowski, will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Abstain. Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Okay, very quickly, before we get to item 5, I've been asked to just make an announcement by Friends of the Library located in the multipurpose room across the hall. They are holding a fundraising auction for our own Oak Creek City Library. You can go on silent auction. Everything is done online. And they are open tonight till 7:45. And the auction will continue every day from 9 a.m. till 7:45 till Friday the 22nd. So you're encouraged to bid often and bid high. So, I had to do that or them ladies would have really gave it to me. Anyways, getting on with item 5, it is a resolution to Anna Barbarian, a retiring public health nurse. Catherine, would you please?
Certainly. Resolution of appreciation to Ann Barberina. Whereas Ann Barberina began her employment with the City of Oak Creek Health Department on September 9th, 2005 as a part-time public health nurse. And whereas Ann was promoted to full-time public health nurse on March 4th, 2009, a position that she served in for 12 years. And whereas Ann also served as the deputy health officer for over 2 years and the interim health officer for 1 year, 7 months, and 21 days, successfully leading the health department through a transitional period. And whereas Ann has her child passenger safety certification and helped to ensure that the car seats of many Oak Creek children were safely installed. And whereas Ann served as the lead for the immunization program, leading many immunization clinics and ensuring that Oak Creek children had access to and were up to date on childhood immunizations. And whereas Ann led the Childhood Lead program, providing education on and investigation of elevated lead levels, protecting children from further exposure to lead. And whereas Ann also served as the lead for the Emergency Preparedness Program, where she worked to prepare the health department to respond to any public health emergency. And whereas Ann spent countless hours working with the health department team to protect and promote the health of the Oak Creek community during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Ann led the implementation of the health department's electronic health record system, training staff, and ensuring that client records were maintained accurately and confidentially. And whereas Ann served on the city's safety committee, taking the lead in implementing safety initiatives in the health department and throughout City Hall. And whereas Ann believed that the health and safety of Oak Creek residents was always the top priority and treated residents with respect and professionalism. And whereas Ann retired from her position of public health nurse with the City of Oak Creek Health Department on November 1st, 2024, marking the completion of over 19 years of dedicated service to the city. Now therefore be it resolved that the city extend its heartfelt best wishes for good health and happiness to Ann Barberina and her family and her her well-deserved retirement years. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that the city clerk is hereby directed to transmit a suitable copy thereof to Ann Barberina, passed and adopted this 4th day of November, 2024.
Thank you, Catherine. Council, anything for Ann? Comments, interactions? Okay, you know, I really want to personally thank Ann. She is one of the friendliest people you're ever going to meet here in City Hall, without a doubt. This is a wonderful proclamation for her. But I really don't think it emphasizes enough the transitional period we went through without a health officer. And she stepped to the plate and showed great leadership. And even more importantly, when the time came when we named that health officer, Ann resumed her roles in leadership in other ways, with lead poisoning and emergency preparedness and just everything, and just really was all about community and the team itself. She's just a really great example of servant leadership and just doing the right things. As I said, she's one of the friendliest people you've ever seen. It's just always been a great day when I run into her, because she's one of the most positive, upbeat people you're going to run into. So, my sincere thanks for your 12 years. But you accomplished a lot here in 12 years. And as they said, the health department transitioned and became a whole new place. Not to mention, she was absolutely key to helping us through the pandemic, which was a very confusing time for everybody involved, more or less health officers, with the information coming down. So just want to wish Ann and her family, on behalf of the city residents, the council, and myself, a long and happy retirement. With that, motion.
Motion to approve resolution number 12526-110424, a resolution of appreciation to Ann Barberina, retiring public health service nurse.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Guzekowski?
Aye.
Kirkowski?
Aye.
Lorick?
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
And item 6 is consideration of a resolution of commendation to Scott Lesniewski, a retiring firefighter. Catherine?
Resolution of commendation to Scott R. Lizanewski, whereas Scott R. Lizanewski was appointed a firefighter on June 1st, 1992, and whereas Scott retired from his position as firefighter effective November 1st, 2024, after 32 years of dedicated full-time service to the City of Oak Creek Fire Department. And whereas during his years of service, Scott has performed his duties admirably, looking out for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Oak Creek. And whereas Scott responded to many major alarms, utilizing his skills in firefighting and rescue with dedication and without hesitation. And whereas Scott has been an emergency medical technician in the state of Wisconsin and has cared for thousands of citizens who were sick or injured, always delivering caring and skilled emergency care to them. And whereas Scott conducted many tours and participated in fire prevention activities for the children of Oak Creek during his career. And whereas Scott served as an acting officer, providing supervision and leadership to his crews in the station and on emergency calls. And whereas Scott lent his expertise in woodworking by designing and building lockers and other various furniture pieces to assist with many station improvement projects. Now therefore be it resolved that the city's best wishes for health and good happiness be extended to Scott R. Lizanewski and his family in his retirement years. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and that the city clerk is hereby directed to transmit a suitable copy thereof to Scott R. Lizanewski, passed and adopted this 4th day of November, 2024.
Thank you, Catherine. And with us is Assistant Chief Havey. Speak on Scott.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Mike Havey with Fire. We just wanted to recognize Scott's time with the fire department. Chief Kresge's out of town. So as noted in the resolution, Scott's been with the department for 32 years. It's a long, illustrious career. He also spent time with the Milwaukee Fire Department. So he had over 37 years as a career firefighter. And as mentioned in the resolution, some of his skills, woodworking, construction, his mechanical aptitude And we look at fire calls, we don't always go on every single fire call with a simple resolution. So Scott's ability to help diagnose those situations, he had a background in HVAC, refrigeration, electrical. So those are some innate skills that were able to help us resolve a lot of things. So, Scott's ability to also help out with the young firefighters. And I remember coming on, his nature, his calmness, his ability to problem solve in the moment. Those are things that are really true attributes to the fire service. So Scott is also known for his caramel corn. I want to make that known because that was one of his greatest attributes that I remember Scott from. But all kidding aside, though, Scott's time and his dedication to service is reflected in a resolution, and we're very thankful for his years with the Oak Creek Fire Department. So thank you.
Thank you. Council? Anything on Scott? Just want to make mention, Assistant Chief Havey covered some of the main points. 32 years, incredible career, just an incredible career for him. He was affectionately known as Stretch around the firehouse. He was a really tall guy, and I'm not saying that because I'm really short. He is just exceptionally tall. Me and Andrew went down to do the ceremony, and what I found really unique about it was, all the actives were there. It was around about a shift change. But the amount of men that came back that he had previously served with, some of our retirees came back to honor him. And it was really quite the ceremony. He wanted it at the house he served in, which was Station 2, which we regularly don't hold the ceremonies at. And it was a real down-to-earth ceremony. You could just kind of tell the camaraderie and the respect that went out to him. As Mike said, he just didn't benefit the city of Oak Creek. He benefited a lot of young men and women in their careers and did a great job. So, Andrew, anything?
I just wonder where the nickname came from, other than the height. Did he come with that, or was that in the firehouse over the years?
So, on behalf of the city, all our residents, the council, and myself, I just want to wish Scott and his wife and family a long and happy retirement. So, if we could, motion, please.
I will move to approve Resolution 12528-111924, a resolution of commendation to Scott R. Lesniewski, retiring firefighter.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 7 is a mayoral proclamation for Crash Responder Safety Week, and that is taking place November 18th through the 22nd, 2024. Catherine?
Certainly. Crash Responder Safety Week, November 18th through 22nd, 2024. Whereas Crash Responder Safety Week takes place November 18th through 22nd, 2024. Whereas this FHWA-sponsored initiative communicates simple steps drivers can make to keep roadway responders and the public safe around traffic incidents. And whereas Wisconsin's emergency responders work tirelessly to save lives and keep the state's roadways safe, responding to nearly 130,000 traffic incidents each year. And whereas emergency responders representing fire, law enforcement, emergency medical services, towing and transportation services put themselves at risk of being struck and injured in a secondary crash. And whereas each driver has a responsibility to drive safely and take precautions to reduce the risk of secondary crashes, including following the state's Move Over law designed to add a safety zone for workers on the side of roadways. And whereas the City of Oak Creek joins the state and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation encouraging all Wisconsinites to learn more about high crash safety and recognizing the hard work of the state's emergency responders. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Daniel J. Bukevich, Mayor of the City of Oak Creek, do hereby proclaim November 18th through 22nd, 2024 as Crash Responder Safety Week in Oak Creek, dated this 4th day of November, 2024.
Thank you, Catherine. Council, anything? I do feel it's important to recognize this. As you know, our protective services are out on the roads probably more than anybody in this city. They respond to people at their worst, and they need that respect for the Move Over law to everything that's going on with increased traffic, construction. It's just the danger of the job for our protective services. So I think it's only right to add this reminder. It's not just once a week we should be safe. It should be every week and every day that we take the time, not only for ourselves and our loved ones, but for those people driving next to us, in front of us, and behind us. So, just want to thank you all and wish you well on the roads. Thank you for what you do. No action is required there. Item 8 is another mayoral proclamation for Small Business Saturday happening November 30th. Catherine?
Small Business Saturday, November 30th, 2024. Whereas the government of Oak Creek, Wisconsin celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 34.7 million small businesses in the United States, representing 61.1% of net new jobs created since 1995. And whereas small businesses employ 45.9% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas 59% of U.S. consumers aware of Small Business Saturday shopped or ate at a small independently owned retailer or restaurant on Small Business Saturday 2023. And whereas the City of Oak Creek supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore, I, Daniel J. Bakavich, Mayor of Oak Creek, Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday, celebrating its 15th year in 2024, and shop small throughout the year. Dated this 19th day of November 2024.
Thank you, Catherine. Council, any comments? Just very quickly, Catherine summed it up very well in that proclamation. This is a large driver of our economy, and there's a saying, you know, in government, everything happens at local levels, and they're very impactful, and the same holds true when it comes to businesses. These are our neighbors. These are our relatives. Get out there and support them. They really need it. They're the backbone of any community, not just Oak Creek, but all communities. So before you go out on your Black Friday scavenger hunts for what you're looking for and you go to the big boxes, consider a local vendor. They'll appreciate it. Your family will appreciate it. Your community will appreciate it. So just another reminder. Thank you very much. No action needed on that. That will get us to our first public hearing. That is item 9, and that is the 2025 executive draft budget. Catherine.
City of Oak Creek notice of public hearing, 2025 executive draft budget, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Notice is hereby given that on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, the Common Council of the City of Oak Creek will meet in the Civic Center Council Chambers at 8040 South 6th Street at 7 o'clock p.m. for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the 2025 executive draft budget. The purpose of the public hearing is to solicit public comment on the city's 2025 annual property tax levy and budget. A summary of the 2025 executive draft budget is published herewith, and public notice is hereby given that the budget detail is available for public inspection at the city clerk's office at the Oak Creek Civic Center, 8040 South 6th Street, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, during the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday. The proposed water and sewer utility proprietary fund budget is not included in this notice. The Board of Public Works and Capital Assets reviewed the proposed budget at their regular meeting on Tuesday, October 8th, 2024, dated this 22nd day of October, 2024.
Thank you, Catherine. I will now turn it over to Max Skagen.
Thank you, Mayor and Common Council. Max Skagen, Deputy City Administrator and Finance Officer. So before you tonight is the adoption of our 2025 budget, and just want to provide the Common Council and the public with an overview of what's included. So you can see the property tax levy totals $26,583,570. You can see that's about a $400,000 increase, or about 1.5% increase from last year. Just looking back, that's the smallest increase in the last 10 years. So, and a part of the reason for that is just with Wisconsin Act 12 adopted in 2023, exempting personal property taxes, that brought down some of the city's levy as well as the other taxing jurisdictions' levy and supplemented with state aid. Just an overview of what's included in the 2025 budget. These are just the high-level personnel items, so a 2.75 wage adjustment for all city employees effective January 1st, 2025. Additionally, various adjustments for certain management and technical positions, either reflecting market conditions or changing responsibilities that occurred with the building capacity and resilience city organization plan. Reclassification of the leisure services assistant position to a tourism and events coordinator. And in parallel with that, had the reclassification of the administrative coordinator position in the library from part-time to a full-time employee. It also includes the reclassification of one of the administrative support assistant positions to a development services coordinator position for the community development department to build capacity, and the addition of a part-time library desk clerk to provide better desk coverage during the library's hours of operation. Looking at our capital budget, so really the high-level overview here is that we did increase funding for stormwater management, really trying to proactively maintain those facilities and ensure our regulatory compliance and enhance system optimization. So at the last common council meeting, the council did approve the increase in the fee to $70 per equivalent runoff unit. We also addressed some building and facility issues, but we also understand that there's funding that needs to be identified for some of our larger and more critical projects that we'll have coming down the pike. And we did fund a significant number of vehicle and equipment and building maintenance items, but largely with cash reserves. Just highlighting all of the capital projects included, over $250,000. You'll see the largest project being the reconstruction of the intersection at Putes and Liberty at $1.5 million. Additionally, about $2 million for fire department capital items, specifically a fire engine, an ambulance, and replacement of the SCBA equipment. We have our annual road program at $1 million, about $500,000 to complete phase 2 of the police parking lot replacement. We've also invested $750,000 in stormwater, again with that increased fee, $500,000 for ditch maintenance, and $250,000 for pond maintenance. Also have $325,000 for Rawson Avenue streetlight and sidewalk rehab. That's a county project that's occurring now through next year, and that's our local share, the city's responsibility. And then it also includes the police department vehicles and the squad replacement. As we discussed, one of the budget strategies to balance the operating budget this year was shifting that from the operating budget into the capital budget. Looking at the projected tax rate, so the levy that's included in 2025 budget would yield a tax rate of 5.56%, so about a 4.3% decrease from last year. And the city-only portion of a tax bill is projected to be $1,900 for a median assessed home. Median assessed home had went up to $341,800, and that comes out to about $158. And if you were to take an annual tax bill and look at just the city-only services and kind of broke it down on a monthly basis, you can see how that translates. So police is the largest consumer of the property tax levy at 26%, the second largest being fire and EMS, third largest being development, and that's because it includes the city's portion of the TID levy as well. The city's portion is about $5.1 million. Then you can kind of see so on, admin services, public works, and so forth. I did also look at just what I anticipate for tax bills that you should see in the mail in a couple weeks. It looks like the total levy for all jurisdictions is going to decrease about 1.4%. So haven't seen that probably in 10, 20, 30 years. I looked back 15 years, so it's gone up slightly. So again, I think a lot of that is due to the exemption of the personal property. With Act 12, we also have the closure of TID District number 6, and then the school district actually had a decrease in their levy outside of those items as well. So I feel pretty confident saying that most residents should see a decrease in their property taxes unless they had a pretty significant increase in their assessed value. When I mean significant, I'm talking like 30, 40%. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
At this time, I'll just ask council to refrain from their questions as we still are in a public hearing, and I will make 3 calls. But thank you for that briefing. I'm sure that will take care of many questions. This will be the first call. Second call, anybody wishing to speak, please approach the podium. We'll need your name and address. Third and final call. We will now close the public hearing, and we'll move on to consideration of the ordinance adopting the 2025 budget and making appropriations. I will now open it up to the council for questions, comments. Steve?
Well, again, I'm a little frustrated because I made some comments at the budget meeting about, forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but sometimes I have to repeat myself on certain topics. If you recall, we moved $2 million from reserves to CIP to address issues, maybe a major project that the city would benefit from, the public, that we couldn't normally fund. And I hopped on the bandwagon and says, we got to do something with sidewalks. I don't know about other alderpersons, but that's a common complaint I get. Either fix them, or Kurkowski, you're not doing anything at all to get this issue fixed. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to use a portion of that $2 million to jumpstart and fixing sidewalks throughout the city, especially in some of the older subdivisions. And I said that I felt like I was being blown off because I wasn't getting any traction on that. So I kind of thought that after the meeting that somebody would come up to me and say, you know, Steve, let's talk this over, let's see what we can do. But nobody did. So I take it as being, if we ignore Kurkowski, he'll just go away. And then we talked about the ordinance that said, well, you know, the residents have to pay to have their sidewalks fixed, and I made my comments about that. I even, in the past, have suggested amending that ordinance to state that the city would not charge in so many words, the city wouldn't charge the residents unless the resident did something negligent to affect the sidewalks, and therefore they'd have to pay to fix them. But got no traction there. So, you know, we're trying to use some money to, again, do a project throughout the city that we normally wouldn't be able to fund. And I know there's $1.5 million left. I don't know what it's going to get spent on, but it sounds like we're not going to do anything with sidewalks other than the $70,000 that's in the budget, which should have been there year after year. So can't do much with $70,000. So, I mean, this is my last budget. This is the one that, you know, this is the one I'm fighting for this tonight here because I just don't think it's right. One thing I didn't say at the budget meeting that I'll say tonight, that I think everybody needs to take a look at an article in the Municipality magazine. It was probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago maybe, where a city was sued because they identified hazards in their sidewalks. And the court held that the city was liable because they had identified hazards. And I know we've got a lot of hazards that have been identified that we're really not doing anything about. In fact, I asked the DPW director if I could borrow a can of orange spray paint that they're marking the sidewalks with now, because the white spray paint on the tripping hazards alongside my house had faded. I thought maybe I'd go out there and put orange spray paint down, and he said that he'll take care of it. It hasn't been done yet. But every morning, the increasing number of kids use that sidewalk to go to and from school. So, you know, hopefully nobody's going to trip over that, get hurt. So that's been about 6 years now. So again, I'm just a little irritated that nobody has taken me seriously. I'm on this island by myself fighting for sidewalk repair. So it's hard to support a budget that you're irritated about one item because it's either take it or leave it. So if the vote isn't unanimous tonight, that's because.
Okay,
All right,
thank
that's
you
my
for your
comments.
comments. Appreciate it. I just want to make one comment on that. You're not alone. I think everybody shares your concerns, but when you get into the budget, there's many factors and many needs within the city. We do our best to balance it out, and some of it comes down to long-term planning, which we talked about in the budget about that. And actually, the city's been very proactive in hiring a company to come in and help identify that subdivisions, and it's in its infancy, and I'm sure we'll get there in time. So, Andrew?
If I may, yeah, we did have sidewalk rehabilitation work done in this year through our partnership with Safe Step. The feedback that we took away from the budget workshop was really a bigger puzzle to solve, and that was we are going to come with you with a policy proposal to significantly increase the road funding budget. As we've been talking about that, we would really like to capture kind of all of our surface transportation assets in that analysis, and we will be bringing forward a proposal to appreciably increase those roads, sidewalk projects, and trail and pathway maintenance going forward in 2026 and beyond. Additionally, what we've done to help wrap our arms around the potential scope of that work related to sidewalks, we have or we will be shortly asking Safe Step to expand their audit, if you will, of the city's assets. I don't know if we're segmenting out the city or if we're having them go through the whole city. I don't know that that's clear yet. But we are taking that inventory and assessment so that can inform where our monetary needs are to really get back on top of the sidewalk maintenance as a routine annual item for the city. So just thought I'd add that. We did take the feedback at the budget workshop and have wrapped some initial conceptual plans around how to kind of eat that elephant, if you will.
Thank you, Andrew. Other questions, comments? Jim?
Yeah, from an overall perspective, in this high inflationary times, I think overall it's more advantageous for the populace in general to have a lower assessment. The city's between 4 and 5% decrease, and giving us a net overall decrease, I think is going to help people more than the sidewalk issue. So that's maybe why you didn't get.
Max, can you go back to that slide that showed the decrease and the amount per thousand, please? Just for my own information.
Slide.
Where you showed the 4% decrease and the amount per thousand. There we go.
Yeah, and again, this is just the city's portion of.
But your assessment overall is that.
Yeah, all of the taxing jurisdictions combined, the total levy will be decreasing about 1.4%. So,
As you said, that's.
and I mean, our portion of the levy actually went up 1.5%. So imagine, I think the school district's closer to 3% decrease. There's one number we're still waiting on, like a state tax credit, but otherwise we feel pretty confident that the overall levy is going to be decreasing for all jurisdictions.
Great to see you.
And keep in mind, there's other taxing jurisdictions that you'll see in your bill. I think you did explain that from MATC, Milwaukee County, MMSD, MATC. There's a few of them. Others, question, comments, anything, Greg? Lisa? Ann?
Just a follow-up. I mean, we've talked about this budget a few times now, but just the professionalism with which this analysis and budget was prepared, we appreciate it completely. So, serve the city well there, Max.
Chris?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Ken said, this is a really good budget. I've been around for a while, and I think this one was well put together. It kind of shows. I think we're on the right path. Can't always predict what's going to come in 2025, but I think this puts it on solid ground and really projects out for years.
And
Great
I had
job.
one thing, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Maybe Andrew, you could give Alderman Kukowski a little idea of timing on your infrastructure planning.
You know, we're really centering around a future strategy to borrow for our surface transportation budget on an annual basis. It's really, if we're all kind of subscribing to that notionally, that's really not a big full-blown analysis or a white paper. It's rather succinct. So we were hoping right somewhere in the beginning of the new year, probably approach the Personnel and Finance Committee with a pretty solid proposal, or at least a few concepts that will help direct a formal proposal. So we do want to seize on that. There are opportunities where we can make moves in 25 that impact the 26 budget. So we don't necessarily have to wait all the way to the budget cycle to begin enacting some of that stuff. And Max and I are discussing that every so often the last couple weeks since the budget workshop. So pretty quick.
There's no further questions or comments. We can do a motion on consideration of that ordinance, number 10.
I'll move to approve ordinance 3111 adopted in the 2025 budget and making appropriations.
Marshall, second.
Roll call?
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
No.
Lorick.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And under new business, item 11 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the services of Baker Tilly US LLP as the city's auditing firm for the fiscal years ending December 31st, 2024 through December 31st, 2028. Max?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the city has had a longstanding relationship with Baker Tilly US LLP, or Baker Tilly for auditing services dating back to well before the 2000s. So that was the earliest audits I can find, but some form or another, Baker Tilly has been the city's auditing firm for many years. And as the Common Council recalls, one of the items in the strategic action plan was to centralize and streamline some of the city's and accounting or utilities finance and accounting functions, which we've really done over the last 2.5 years, with the finance department assuming responsibility for the utility audit. We've gone through 2 audits now, got a really good understanding as to what the utilities needs are from an audit perspective versus the city's needs. So with that, we did forego a request for proposal process and instead worked with Baker Tilly directly to collaboratively arrive at a scope of services for the audit engagement that included both the city and the utility. I really wanted to have them under one engagement, so we had our engagement expiring with the city, and the utility was not actually under an engagement, they were just on a year-to-year basis. And after having those conversations with our audit partners, there will be efficiencies that we'll realize due to economies of scale. There's a lot of audit testing procedures that are now being consolidated because there's one finance department who's doing it. So when they test things like how accounts payable is done or payroll, they're not having to do it twice because the utility was on a separate financial system and had separate staff. So a lot of those led to efficiencies, which you'd see reflected in price. So we are asking the council to approve a 5-year engagement that would cover fiscal years 2024 through 2028. You can see the pricing on your screen. The total cost for the first year is about $71,000, and then it increases about 4 to 5% each year thereafter, with 2028 being $86,650. Their proposal does include the same scope of services historically done, which is for the annual audit, if we have to do a single audit or a program audit for Department of Health and Human Services or a TID audit, those are not inclusive of these fees. Those are above and beyond, which is how it's been typically structured. Just for this group's perspective, I did list how much the annual audit costs us from both the city and utility perspective last year. So city's portion of the audit was about $47,000. So a pretty small increase there. And you'll see utilities annual audit was about $40,000. So overall, by combining these and getting them under one scope, we'll be saving about $10,000 in the first year. And we should see that continue to grow, actually $17,000 in the first year, and see that so that it looks like our audit costs in 2028 should be about where they are today. And with that, we did take this to Personnel and Finance Committee, and they recommended the Common Council adopt Resolution 12531-111994, authorizing the services of Baker Tilly US LLP as the city's auditing firm for the fiscal years ending December 31st, 2024 through December 31st, 2028. With that, I'm happy to answer questions the council might have.
Questions for Max? Greg?
I'm just curious, can you go back 2 pages? Is there some portion that's still separate between the two? Why is city and utilities separated in cost?
Yeah, so the city kind of refers to governmental funds, which are done on a modified accrual basis of accounting. Utilities operate on an accrual basis of accounting, much like a private business does. So when you have an audit, you generally have 2 different teams who work on it, city versus utility. So even in other organizations I've worked with who didn't have 2 separate organizations, they always classify it as a city audit versus a utility audit, because there are certain things that you have to do on an accrual basis of accounting versus a modified accrual basis that they don't necessarily translate one to the other.
Ken?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just to kind of sum up, Max and his staff brought this to personnel, I think it was last week. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, as you can imagine, a relatively enlightening and encouraging meeting, discussion on this whole process. And I think really kind of reinforced the notion of we were right in enshrining the right sizing and realignment of some of these organizations, some of our practices, and how much more in control we can be of our financial and accounting and reporting to the community by that process. I think Max has done a great job in terms of making sure that's done right and moving forward this alignment, especially as Baker Tilly. There's only 2. Max told us there's only 2 viable actually choices for this particular process for community our size in the state. And given the continuity that these folks have done this for us for a long time already, it made the decision much easier. And the cost, as Max said, was combining the 2 into one mandate for Baker Tilly made a lot of sense. It was a very easy decision to make a recommendation.
Good information. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no more discussion, motion on 11, please.
I'll move to approve resolution 12531-111924, authorizing the services of Baker Tilly US LLP as the city's auditing firm for the fiscal years ending on December 31st, 2024 through December 31st, 2028.
Marshall, second.
Roll call?
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Item 12 is community development. It's consideration of a motion to approve an amendment to the City of Oak Creek's 2023 North Bluff Planning Study. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor and Common Council. Before you is that resolution, or not resolution, excuse me, the approval for the amendment to the North Bluff Planning Study. I have a short presentation just to give you some background on that discussion that we had with Parks and Rec. So the Oak Creek North Bluff Planning Study that was selected in 2022, Edgewater Resources to create that study and plan by the Common Council. On January 10th in '23, Edgewater did present to the Parks and Rec Commission, and they recommended approval to the Common Council to adopt the plan. And in May of 2023, the Common Council actually did adopt that plan. So some of the important things that have happened over the last year, and which the Common Council has been preview to, has been some of our real estate developments, which has kind of precipitated, I guess, this change in the plan. So in October of this year, the right-of-way along Depot Road, just north, was purchased by the city. And then in August of this year, Fifth Avenue properties, which Old High Night, was also purchased. This basically provided us a good platform as far as moving forward with some of our plans we have with the park plan, along with amending the plan. And then also through the work that Cannell and Beazer has been doing in regards to their remediation of their property. One of the main things that has gotten out of our negotiations and work with them is, on your screen, Site C is an area that they are going to be donating, at least at this point in time, is anticipated that they'll be donating that to us for the park conservancy. It's a major piece to our puzzle. Once again, that helped us kind of go forward with our amendment here. So this was the original plan and our consensus plan. You notice the parking up here in the top of your page. That was primarily the area that was more of a DNAPL area. It was meant for capping. That was the thought and premise on it. As you can tell, it's quite a ways away from the park itself, down here where the active area would be. So the new consensus plan in here, we actually relocated, you'll notice, the parking from that area closer to the bluff, kind of in the active area, giving that opportunity for people to be closer, park, and enjoy the park. We also went ahead and started working towards a regional stormwater pond. This also facilitates not only Cannell and Beazer and some of that other development, but then gives us the opportunity with the Peter Cooper site as we move forward with development in the future. We've had our stormwater consultants doing a quick analysis on it. We're working towards the sizing of that pond. It's pretty significant, but once again, we can make this a feature for the park itself. And then obviously they cleaned up some of the things with some of the park amenities on this project. On November 7th, the Parks and Rec Commission unanimously recommended to Common Council. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from Matt? Greg?
So I definitely think it's a positive thing to move the parking closer to the park that people are going to be using for the most part. But where it was previously, was thought it was going to cap that property. What's the thought of what's going to happen with that area now? Is it still going to need to be capped with something? Is there going to be additional parking still there?
So at this point in time, Cannell and Beazer has going through what they call an IRAP and the submittal to the DNR and the EAP for consideration as far as remediation of that area. So they're going to be doing an in situ type stabilization of the contamination. With that, it solidifies all the contaminants in the ground. And their plan at this point, as you can see on the screen right now, Site A and Site B is for future development. So going through work with the DNR and making sure that the post development after remediation is one thing that they'll have to go through, much like what we went through on Lakeshore Commons. So there'll be requirements as far as barriers and vapor barriers and different things like that to eliminate or mitigate some of that contamination and contact.
Just to add to that, the the in situ stabilization concept for remediation of this project kind of came to light as an option that maybe the regulatory agencies would approve about like midway through our park planning process. So we kind of finished our thought process on where the parking should be based on that. And when that completely changed, there was no need for a cap in the upland portion. and that was mutually beneficial to all parties. There's more land to redevelop for the current owner. The parking's closer, and it's just much more attractive and integrated into the park. None of the other park features that you see, the scope of the pier, the pedestrian bridge, all of the little activation centers in the bluff itself, none of that has been amended. Really just the big, the relocation of the parking lot and the stormwater pond.
Well, in addition to that, the acquisition of Site C in the long term is another benefit to that.
Yes, Ken?
Andrew, or Matt, can you remind me, what is our land use?
I wouldn't be able to tell you at this point. It's probably still industrial at this point. I think
We moved it back to ag.
you might have moved it back to
I
ag,
can
but I
get an
think the
answer.
long term,
Okay.
we'd have to,
I'm just curious to make sure.
I think in the comp plan, it's,
'Cause they haven't obviously not. Just commercial development. Vague notion?
No, the concept plan all along has been residential development. And they're remediating to the standard that would provide for that.
obviously the council and plan commission, they have to come forward. We still have a chance to make sure that we get what we want.
Matt, I do like the configuration with parking down there. You do show a road going north with the arrow. Would that continue north and eventually make its way back to Fifth Avenue?
That is an option. Obviously, through the development of Peter Cooper, it gives us some flexibility. We would prefer, obviously, some connection back to Fifth for continuity through that. But yes, we do plan on in the future continuing that roadway. What the configuration may be, we're not certain yet.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from Matt?
Matt, you don't happen to have the current picture of the bluff that they showed at the,
I can bring it up.
it's just for the council. I think it's a great picture
Yes. give
of
me one
where it
moment.
is at the moment.
Talked a little bit about this at the budget workshop, but we've really been laying the foundation for having a blank canvas to be able to execute on the park vision that we have. With the ownership being cleaned up, with a few pieces to go. But I think to Alderwoman Marshall's point, when you see the newest iteration of the bluff photo, you can begin to visualize this park more so than we have ever been able to. So
This is one of the most current photos we have. Over the last week or so, we've had some more greening up, so to speak, of the bluff, but MMSD is to the right of your screen. And then to the left, actually, where the cursor is right here is where the old bat house used to be. Peter Cooper that was demoed this last year. And then the roadway, you can kind of see it right here with the cursor. That's where the road would enter and then work through. So High Night is over here.
And is that our property line? Is that line on the far right?
On the far right, that is the property line that runs west.
Does that bike trail still partially exist on top of the wall?
No longer, no, it's been graded out. Provides us a nice, this provides us a very good platform to work from as far as getting the future park and those elements in that plan.
Now, keep in mind, as you look at this picture from what it was, we have short memories. It's just kind of in our nature. It's amazing where we're at with this project. When you go back 10 short years, where we're at, and what it is now. And if you leap ahead another 5 to 10 years, it's going to be amazing. You talk to people about Lake Vista now, they talk like it's always been there, and it's really our newest, one of our newest parks, if not the newest. So memory shortest, what that actually looked like. Keep that in mind. Just great work by all parties involved. Anything else from Matt? Okay, if nothing else, motion on 12.
Marshall moves to approve approve amendment to the City of Oak Creek's 2023 North Bluff Planning Study.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Item 13 is engineering, and it's consideration of a resolution entering into a local county agreement between the city and Milwaukee County for cost sharing on Milwaukee County's West Rawson Avenue reconstruction project from 13th to Howell. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. This is that resolution entering into our local municipal agreement with Milwaukee County. This is for the cost associated with our utilities. That would be street lighting, water, sewer, and sanitary. This is very typical with most projects with Milwaukee County. Local utilities or local municipalities have to pay for their relocations, and there's efforts within it. You'll also notice that this does not include above ground work for street lighting. Within their project themselves, they were only going to do the underground, which is conduit, light bases and such. So we do have another project forthcoming in regards to bringing in the new lights, relocating some of those features throughout the park, but that'll be forthcoming in the near future once the project's completed. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Steve.
Just want to comment, Matt, that and for anybody else who's been driving Rawson Avenue since this construction project started, it's really horrendous. It's going to go on for a while, and interesting to see what it's going to look like in the wintertime when it snows, when they got to plow or lack of plowing in some areas. But it's my perception that since that project has started on Rawson Avenue, that the traffic on Drexel has got substantially worse. So for what it's worth, might be a fallout with regards to traffic issues on Drexel until this project is, whether you guys want to take a look at the traffic count since it's just, Drexel's turned into a real nightmare since they've started on Rawson Avenue, obviously because it takes almost forever to go from the freeway to Pennsylvania at times.
There will be a shift of traffic, and as you know, the project progresses, if there become issues, we can definitely look at our timing within our system there. One of the concerns you'll have obviously is we'll back up along the side streets, but that can always be mitigated at some point in time. So if it becomes an issue, we'll definitely have our consultants look at the timing.
But with the inconvenience we have right now, it should, at the end, it's going to be nice, I hope. Nice
Yeah,
project.
I mean, that's the point, hopefully, that they'll bring in. It'll be down to 2 lanes with an auxiliary lane on the outside and sidewalks, much like 13th Street. So it'll be an improvement.
That's it.
Steve. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Motion on 13, please.
Kirkowski make a motion to adopt resolution number 12532-111924, entering into a local county agreement between the city and Milwaukee County for cost sharing of Milwaukee County's West Rawson Avenue reconstruction project from South 13th Street to South Howell Avenue.
York seconds.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
And item 14 is consideration of a resolution approving a stormwater management practices maintenance agreement with ZK Industries LLC for the proposed development located at 1901 East Rawson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the resolution for our stormwater maintenance practice. This is pretty standard. This is for the Graph Design project that's over on Rawson Avenue, where, if you remember the old meat market, they proposed to do a large facility there, showroom and warehouse. This project themselves facilitates their stormwater management pond. It has gone through MMSD's approval and the city's review. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions if you have one.
Anyone?
Nice to see that building gone. So it's
Okay. There's no further discussion. Motion on 14.
Kirkowski make a motion to adopt resolution number 12533-111924, approving a stormwater management practices maintenance agreement with ZK Industries LLC for the proposed development located at 1901 East Rawson Avenue.
Lorik seconds.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
And as the license committee is item 15, I'd like to turn that over to Alderman Kirkowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the items on tonight's common council report. Does anybody have any questions, cares, or concerns? All right, seeing none, Kirkowski make a motion to approve the various license requests as listed on the November 19, 2024 License Committee report.
Fritz will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 16 is consideration of our vendor summary report, November 13th, 2024, in the amount of $861,224.38. Please take a look at your report, and if you have any questions, please take the floor. There are no questions, comments, or concerns. Motion.
Marshall will move to approve the November 13th, 2024 vendor summary report in the amount of $861,224.38.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
And before we adjourn, just a couple announcements. For those of you that take the tradition of deer hunting and still go out, I wish you all a safe, happy, and successful hunt. But more importantly, Thanksgiving Day morning, we have our annual turkey trek. We will be gathering at Emerald Row Preserve. Alderman Guzekowski will be there. He's always a staple there, and some of you also have joined us in the past. You can please bring your non-perishable food items to be donated to a local food pantry and enjoy a brisk morning walk with the rest of us. So we start at 8 a.m. That is the 28th, Thanksgiving Day morning. On behalf of myself, Common Council, and staff of Oak Creek, we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. With that, adjournment, please.
Lorik moves to adjourn.
Fritz will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a great week.